Well, good morning. Happy Sunday. Definitely going to be a dry start to our Sunday, but we are tracking a few storms and our possible next heat wave, so definitely keep it here. We'll have a look at that forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, Brittany, thank you. Developing news happening right now. Another officer-involved shooting in our nation's capital. Violent crime is up over the weekend. We are tracking everything for you on the scene. Our news team has got you covered.
Plus, an update on the mother who killed her newborn baby and hid the body inside of a closet. How many years she'll now spend behind bars. Also happening this morning, President Biden positive again. The commander-in-chief tests positive for coronavirus again after testing negative. An update on his condition.
Loaded luggage. Why the TSA says they are finding record numbers of handguns coming through checkpoints at two of the DMV's biggest airports. We are investigating that this morning.
And later on this morning, it's a wine bar kind of weekend. Coming up, we're taking you to Smashing Grapes. Our Chrissy Matino has a different type of tasting experience.
So excited for that, and we are so excited for this shot here as well. We love a good sunrise hitting the face of the White House there, the north front of the White House there. Welcome to DC News Now on this Sunday morning. Thank you so much for being here with us. I am Joseph Olmo.
And I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll have our top stories in just a few minutes, but first, Brittany, what can we expect this Sunday fun day?
Maybe not so much fun day. I mean, what Christy's doing, going to a winery, I think that would be cool.
I actually looked up the menu for that restaurant. You guys got to stay tuned because that's coming later on in the show, but that's a very,
I'm excited to see that, but you definitely want to do something inside because we will be seeing showers as we head into our afternoon. But the morning will be good.
Perfect.
Just the afternoon, maybe not so much. Let's take a look at satellite and radar right now, showing you what's happening. The past couple of hours, we've been dry, high pressure sitting right overhead of us. That's going to start to shift its way out of our area as we head into this afternoon. And then we have a warm front that's going to be approaching our area. That's going to give us a few showers heading into our afternoon. So definitely get ready for that because it is not going to be a complete washout. Not everyone is going to be seeing those showers, but the people that do could see anywhere between ½ of an inch to an inch of rain. Satellite and radar showing you what's been happening the past few hours, or excuse me, what's happening right now. You can see we do have a few showers that is off to our west. Mostly cloudy skies around the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. Clouds are starting to creep up there in Garrett County, and we'll start to see an increase of our clouds as we head into our afternoon and even our evening hours. Temperatures right now are still pretty mild out there. 73 in D.C., 63 in Frederick, 65 over there in Hagerstown. Then as you head off to the mountains where those clouds are currently at, you can see we are in the lower 60s. And again, our highs will be in the mid 80s, but we are tracking a few showers and possible storms as we head into today. We're also looking at our next heat wave heading into next week, so definitely keep it here. We'll have a check of that forecast coming up in just a bit.
All right, well, it's been a very violent weekend in our nation's capital. The Metropolitan Police Department and now has another officer-involved shooting case to add to its list after police responded to a drive-by shooting.
Yeah, all of it taking place in broad daylight. DC News Now's Yamari Sase starts us off this morning. She was on the scene and has a timeline from police. She also spoke to a neighbor who heard the entire thing happen. Take a look.
Around 4 p.m. on Saturday, officers responded to a shooting near Longfellow and Georgia Avenue in northwest D.C.
What we heard at this point was two vehicles were heading northbound on Georgia Avenue, opened fire on a group of individuals that were on Longfellow walking. Those individuals returned fire at these two vehicles.
Two victims were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. But not too long after, neighbors reported a white sedan with multiple gunmen in the car. When police arrived near Longfellow Street and Madison Street, the men in the car fled the scene except for one.
When the officer exited his vehicle, he engaged an armed man, gave a command. Those commands were not complied with, and he discharged his weapon one time, striking that individual.
One neighbor said he heard the shot.
Yeah, it sounded like a car crash.
The male victim was taken to the hospital with critical injuries. Police say they found several guns from both incidents.
Currently, we have 4 firearms recovered, and one we believe is an automatic weapon.
Just this week, D.C. saw 13 homicides with 21 victims, 5 of them losing their lives.
There's going to be an increased police presence here today. along with the other districts that were affected by violence. So our patrol, our visibility is going to be a reaction to that, but also our investigators are diligently working on piecing this together, because the best way to get shooters off the street is by perfecting criminal investigations and getting them arrested.
Reporting in Washington, D.C., I'm Yamari Sase, D.C. News Now.
Now, with the number of shootings growing by the day, D.C. police say it could take their investigators weeks to figure out just how many suspects are responsible for the string in violent crime.
All right, let's get you up to speed. We want to show you what has happened in the past couple of days. There has been a shooting right near a popular park in southeast D.C. One man was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. And then a drive-by shooting right outside of a convenience store on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Police say 3 people were hit by the gunfire. And then overnight on Friday, 3 shootings happening simultaneously across the district. All in all, 6 people were shot. Well, the spree in violent crime comes as voices in the community grow louder and louder, calling on the district's top leaders to be more open and transparent when police have to get involved in these tense situations.
Yeah, DC News Now's Mario Carbone listened to those concerns less than 1 month after an off-duty police commander shot and killed a man at the wharf. Take a look.
The issue is communal. The issue is systemic.
And it's an issue local organizers want to see change. Systematic racism, they say, is happening in policing.
This is nothing new to MPD. MPD has been violently and overly policing our neighborhoods for a long time now.
The demand comes as police investigate 2 incidents. Last week, police released this video of an officer-involved shooting. Commander Jason Bagshaw, while off duty, fatally shot Lazarus Wilson, a black man who is armed, pointing a gun. Friday,
he's eating it. Open your mouth or I'm going to spray you.
MPD released this video from June, where a white officer puts his knee on the neck of a black man he's arresting. Police say they witnessed the man buy drugs and were trying to get them out of his mouth. Both actions are considered serious uses of force by the department.
We are calling for the transformation of policing in our society so that it no longer serves as an agent of anti-black racism, and so that black people are no longer targeted, harassed, and murdered by police.
According to MPD, neck restraints are against both city and department policy. The officer's actions are being investigated by the U.S. Attorney's Office. So is the shooting, which Taylor says didn't have to happen.
This system is not built for black people. Lazarus Wilson could have had a gun, and Lazarus Wilson could still be here going in front of the judge and jury.
And that is our Marielle Carbone reporting. Marielle, thank you. Listen to this. A mother from Columbia, Maryland will now spend the next 30 years behind bars. We have more details about what is happening with her case. The mother was found guilty of murdering her own newborn baby boy, asphyxiating that baby boy. This is Moira Akers. Take a look. She's 41 years old, and she was found guilty of a Howard County Circuit Court jury of second-degree murder and first-degree child abuse. So here's what happened. Back in November of 2018, Akers was being transported to the hospital. Now, it was unclear at the time that she had already given birth to a baby at her home. Police, they started to investigate. They went back to her house, and they found a newborn baby dead inside of a zipped plastic bag underneath a blanket in a closed closet area. Akers then told investigators that the baby was stillborn, but after a second look by the chief medical examiner, it turns out that infant was healthy, full term, and alive at birth. The medical examiner instead ruled the cause of death as asphyxiation. Now, after the jury's verdict was announced, the state's attorney for Howard County, Rich Gibson, had this to say. After 3.5 years of working on this case, we are grateful the jury found Miss Akers guilty of this heinous crime, and we were able to obtain justice for baby Akers.
Well, the woman charged with shooting her husband inside the 5-star Mandarin Oriental Hotel is for now being behind bars. The decision came after Shanteria Weems' first court appearance on Friday. But our reporter in the courtroom says that the family of Weems was overcome with emotion after they learned her fate. Now, all of this is coming after the 50-year-old shot her husband, James Weems Jr., while they were arguing over accusations of child abuse. Now, Shanteria Weems operates a daycare in Owings Mills, and she received complaints from several parents that her husband had abused children at the daycare. And when she confronted her husband at the hotel about the accusations, things quickly escalated. Now, she shot him in the neck and in the leg. Weems' lawyer says it was all in self-defense, but she's still being charged with assault with intent to kill. Meanwhile, her husband, James Weems, was arrested in the hospital and faces 13 charges of abuse.
If she is not released tomorrow, there's a likelihood that she will sit inside of that prison cell or that jail cell until her case is adjudicated, until the outcome of her case, which can be upwards to 2 years.
And a former middle school teacher who's accused of sending an inappropriate photo of herself to one of her previous students has pled guilty in court. Valley lawyer, who's 29 years old, pled guilty after sending the inappropriate photo of herself to a former male student back in 2018. Now, according to court documents, it was a picture of her face and exposed breasts. But at the time, she was a teacher at Western Heights Middle School in Hagerstown. Now, the woman will now serve 2 years of unsupervised probation under the special condition that she does not have any contact with unrelated minors unless it's supervised.
Well, President Joe Biden, 3 days after leaving self-isolation, is headed right back to quarantine after testing positive for COVID-19 again. The White House calls this a rare rebound. The president's physician says that the commander-in-chief is showing no symptoms right now and seems to be in top health. Biden has been taking Paxlovid. It's that antiviral drug which was created by Pfizer. It's the COVID pill, which with it carries a very small chance of what is being referred to as COVID rebound. Now, following CDC recommendation, the president will now self-isolate again for 5 days. Take a listen.
Hey folks, Joe Biden here. Tested positive this morning. I've been working from home for the next couple of days, and I'm feeling fine. Everything's good. But the commander and I got a lot of work to do.
Looks like he's got some good company there. The president will no longer be making a planned trip to Michigan this Tuesday. Instead, it will likely be rescheduled for some time later on in the week.
And even as life appears to be getting back to normal, COVID cases are on the rise everywhere.
Just when we thought we were all done with it, which is why now is probably a good time to brush up on your vaccine knowledge, where everything stands right now, and when might be a good time to roll up that sleeve again.
Downtown Garden City today looked like it did before the pandemic. But the reality is COVID cases are again on the rise in New York.
Right now is a particularly challenging time for public health officials, and I think continuing to vaccinate now is at the highest priority.
That's why the director of Northwell Health's COVID vaccine program is heartened by the news out of Washington. The Biden administration now says a new COVID vaccine booster will be available earlier than expected, by mid-September.
The sooner the better, of course. Absolutely. We got to get rid of this COVID situation.
Doctors say early data shows this new vaccine should be more effective against the latest virus variants. This new Hyde Park man, who's already received 2 boosters, is ready for another.
We have taken flu shots every year, so I don't see a difference. I mean, as long as it keeps us, all of us, safe.
But for some, questions remain. If it's been several months since my last booster, should I get one now with COVID spreading or wait for the new version?
Likely those patients who are at the lowest risk can wait. If you are a high-risk individual, you're immunocompromised, I think most would encourage you to get the booster now.
And if you get a booster now, Dr. Harris says, you can still get the updated shot in a few months. The best advice, as always, is talk to your own doctor about how to proceed. Diane Supa, for one, is in no rush to get another shot.
They don't know enough about it. We're filling our bodies with these things that we don't even know if it's beneficial or not and what it's going to do to us later on.
All right, make sure you check with your primary care doctor about when to get that next dose. Well, as cases rise in the district and across the country, the D.C. Health Department is opening up another monkeypox clinic. This one will be specifically in Ward 8, which is in Southeast D.C. The clinic opens this upcoming Monday, which is tomorrow. So far, over 7,000 doses of the vaccine have been given out in Washington, D.C. Another 2,000 more appointments, more people have signed up to get their shots.
And taking a look at the bigger picture here, monkeypox, which cases are popping up across the DMV. D.C. leads the way with 218 cases. Maryland has at least 117 confirmed cases. Virginia has 76, and West Virginia so far has only confirmed 3 cases of the virus.
Well, speaking of monkeypox, the health department in our nation's largest city has declared that virus, monkeypox, a public health emergency. With over 1,300 cases, I believe the count right now is 1,345. New York State has more than anywhere in the nation, actually about a fifth of the entire country, all in all. Now, health officials in New York City now say it is the new epicenter for the virus, and specifically this public health emergency allows those health officials and the mayor to make temporary changes to certain health laws in order to help slow the spread of the virus.
All right, well, President Joe Biden rejecting claims the U.S. is in a recession despite a new federal report showing the economy is shrinking for the second time in a row last quarter. Our DC's Raquel Martin has a story.
Republicans say Americans should brace themselves. After Thursday, a new federal report showed the economy shrank for the second quarter in a row.
Democrats have plunged America into a recession.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell blames President Biden's policies for soaring inflation he says is at the root of the problem.
Democrats inherited an economy that was primed for an historic comeback and promptly ran it straight into the ground.
While typically economists define a recession as 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline, the White House isn't sold.
We're not in a recession.
Thursday, President Joe Biden said considering record low unemployment and strong consumer spending, he believes the country is on the right track. He also says Congress is on its way to relieve Americans of inflation. Thursday, the House passed the CHIPS Act, a bipartisan manufacturing bill supporters say will bring consumer costs down. And now Democrats, led by West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, are reviving key parts of the president's economic agenda, designed to lower prescription drug prices and shrink the federal deficit.
Not a Democrat bill. This is not a Republican bill. This is an American bill.
But no Republicans are on board. West Virginia Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito says Democrats' inflation-fighting bill
will fuel this fire of inflation even more.
And that was our Raquel Martin reporting there from our D.C. bureau here in our nation's capital. Raquel, thank you. Well, we have a winner. Mega Millions has confirmed one very lucky person bought the winning jackpot lottery ticket, technically making them an instant billionaire. Imagine waking up in the morning and you're not a billionaire or a millionaire or even in some people's cases a thousandaire, and now you're a billionaire. Well, the jackpot was the nation's 3rd largest lottery prize at about $1.3 billion. It grew so large because no one had matched the game's 6 selected numbers since April 15th. That technically means that there were 29 consecutive drawings without a jackpot winner. But we finally have one. Well, speaking of Mega Millions, that lucky winner wasn't the only one to win big on Friday night. There were others who benefited from the drawing, and it isn't anybody who is scratching off a ticket or matching their numbers. No, we are talking about the public school systems across the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yeah, DC News Now's Katie Ree is live with us in the studio with more on this story. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, guys. Well, like you said, Virginia Public Schools are also winning big from Friday's drawing, and that's because a portion of the profits from the lottery, whether that be scratch ticket purchases, winners for Mega Millions, or anything, it's set to a part of it is specifically set aside for public schools. And while the winning ticket for Friday's Mega Millions jackpot wasn't purchased in Virginia, the estimated sales generated from that historic run, which first started in April, is projected to be around $30.2 million. And it will be directed towards public education, those public education systems across the state. So in the fiscal year 2021, the Virginia Lottery had sales of $3.25 billion. And from that profit, the lottery generated more than $766 million for kindergarten through 12th grade public education. This all started back in 1999 when a state budget amendment was introduced that sent all lottery proceeds to local public schools. And the next year, more than 80% of Virginia voters wanted to create the state lottery proceeds funds, which is now a permanent part of the Constitution. This now directs all Virginia lottery profits to be put towards public education. It was previously distributed to capital construction projects, as well as later to the state's general fund. Now taking a little look at the profits from the fiscal year of 2021 for the Virginia Lottery in your community. So in Arlington County Public Schools, they received around $44.1 million. Frederick County out in the western part of the Commonwealth received around $6.3 million. Then moving on to Loudoun County, around $22 million, Fairfax County $45, and then Prince William County receiving the most out of any county, which was a little over $53.5 million. Also, any unclaimed lottery prizes will go directly to the Literary Fund that provides low-interest loans to public schools for construction, renovation, and technology upgrades. And in the last fiscal year, $10.3 million were put towards that fund.